What's up, guys? My name is Troy, but I also go by Tangla Boots, and I can't believe to say it, but I'm actually back. If you guys weren't aware, I've been gone from YouTube for a very long time. Long story short, I live in a rural area now, and it's really hard to get internet out here, so it made it really hard for me to upload videos. I'm still able to play Pokemon on a, much weaker connection, and you don't need an insane connection, to play Pokemon Showdown. So I've been playing league battles and all that, but I had to give up on uploading them because I didn't have, the connection to upload that kind of stuff. But I'm finding ways to work around it, and I got my recording setup back, and so I thought, why not record this league that I just started in called Owl. If you've never heard of Owl, basically it's run by my good friend Strompel, shouts out to him. He invited me, and basically it is a 24-person league, which sounds very overwhelming, but it's broken up into 8 teams of 3. And so basically the way it goes is there's one team captain, that team captain is me, and they add 2 teammates. So you get a team of 3, and basically everybody gets their own team. So I have my own draft, my own teammates have theirs, and basically you have to win the best 2 out of 3. So I'm going to face somebody on an opposing team, my teammate's going to face somebody on the opposing team, and my other teammate's going to face an entirely different person on the opposing team. And so you basically have to win 2 out of the 3 games. So it's not enough to just focus on your game. You have to win, the whole set. You have to win 2 or 3 of the games to win for the week. So it's very stressful. It focuses a lot on teamwork. And I was originally planning on showing you their replays, my teammates. But I thought, since I'm just getting back into this, I'd rather just go over my own matches, and I'll kind of recap how the battles went for the rest of my teammates at the end of each video. So unfortunately for this league, I'm not going to make a draft analysis video. I also thought about making that, but again, I kind of just want to jump right back into recording. I don't want to spend too much time getting started again. I only have so much time before I go back to school, on top of working. So I really want to use this free time I have to just get right back into the things and kind of just hope I keep momentum up this time. So instead of doing a whole draft analysis, I'm just going to go over the Pokemon that I drafted really quickly. Those Pokemon are, in order, Garchomp, who is one of my 2 Z captains, meaning he can use Z moves, Scizor, Vaporeon, Mimikyu, Rotom-Mow, Miltank, Volcarona, who is my other Z captain, Hitmonchan, Mega Absol, Espeon, and Regirock. I will probably have that on the screen as I'm reading that, but I just wanted to go over that really quickly just so you guys can at least appreciate, me having to select 6 out of 11 Pokemon to bring to the battle, instead of just seeming like 6 Pokemon I just pulled out of thin air, You can at least see my thought process on why I chose to bring which Pokemon. If you look back at my other league videos, I don't have a ton of them, but they'll kind of be the same exact format. I'll go over my team for a little bit. There'll also be a timestamp in the description if you want to skip my whole team building segment where I talk about the team I'm bringing and what I'm expecting for the battle. And you can just watch it, just that part. I won't be offended if you don't want to listen to me talk about it. But if you're interested in my thought process and what I decided to bring, just go ahead and keep on watching. So to finally hop into the team builder, my week 1 opponent was versus Captain Sebasaur, I think that's how it's pronounced. And he has a team that I'm going to put on screen right about now for you to look off of. And I've ordered them from top to bottom in how likely I think they're going to come. So going into this matchup, immediately what sticks out in my mind, reading over his list of Pokemon, is that Tapu Koko. That thing is a huge threat, and my one ground type in Garchomp obviously is going to be weak to Dazzling Gleam. Not like he couldn't run HP Ice anyways, but still, it's very scary to me, and it's also one of his Z captains. So a Z Thunderbolt is really terrifying to me. Even a Z Dazzling Gleam, a Twinkle Tackle could send some of my Pokemon flying, so it's a huge threat to me. Mew, just with how versatile it is, and then Hawlucha. Okay, Hawlucha is a huge problem. A big problem in my team overall is my weakness to flying. In fact, I didn't draft a single resist at all until the last round, which is in Regirock. It was just complete oversight on my part. I was like, oh yeah, I got an electric type. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was grass electric, which cancels out the flying resist. So that was totally my fault, and therefore my team is very Hawlucha weak. Specifically because both sets he could run are viable in terms of he could run Unburden with Electric Seed with Tapu Koko to become blindingly fast, outspeed any kind of Scarf I'd want to bring. I mean, Hawlucha already outspeeds pretty much my whole team already, but he could outspeed any Scarf easily with that set. But also, something that's really scary is he could run Mold Breaker and do stuff like get through Mimikyu's Disguise. So that's definitely stuff that's, really scary to me. Hawlucha is, I think, definitely coming to this game and will definitely be trying to set up and sweep me. So I need to be prepared for that in some capacity. Everything else from there is kind of a toss-up. Meganium is a Z user. I really don't think Meganium's coming. That's his other Z user, I should say. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I could see him bringing the full Fairy Dragon Steel Core. It's pretty good, and Kyurem can definitely be a threat at its speed tier. He has a overall pretty slow team, but Kyurem's kind of, at that middle speed line. He's like base 95, so definitely something to consider in terms of him trying to, outspeed my team and beat it. So starting off here, up at the top, we have Idalia, my Volcarona, and this week I decided, originally I was going to have a Buginium Z Volcarona. It was going to be my Z user for this match, but I ended up taking it off, and I'll show you later why. But essentially with the set, I just wanted to Quiver Dance and beat this guy. Because looking at his team, wow, at +1, he really doesn't have many answers to Volcarona. Araquanid is 1. I don't even always kill him with the +1 Giga Drain depending on his set. And so originally, I actually had Buginium Z for the Bug Buzz, which would kill Araquanid, especially if I was in Swarm range. So I also originally had Swarm. That was the other part. Other than that, I mean, like, Fire Dance and Bug Buzz overall just, like, kind of tears through this team, and then Giga Drain was for the Rhyperior. But over time, it also became for the Araquanid after I took the Z Crystal off. So basically the goal with Volcarona is to potentially Quiver Dance up later in the game. I do have to keep rocks off the field, but if I'm able to do that, Volcarona can easily get to +1. The speed EVs are to outspeed a max speed Kyurem in the event, that he has that. Not like, that's a matchup that really matters, but I mean, it can learn Rock Slide. I might as well want to outspeed it, if I need to revenge kill it with Volcarona if the sweep plan doesn't work out. It just made sense to me. Next up is Rotom Mow. So as I'm looking at his team, I noticed that his one ground type is Rhyperior, which gets shredded apart by Leaf Storm, which I'm required to bring in order to beat Rotom Mow. So I really like the idea of bringing Rotom because I can basically Volt Switch all over his team, and then Leaf Storm hits the one thing that Volt Switch doesn't. So I really like the idea of this Rotom coming, especially because it gives me a really nice answer to Electric Spam from Tapu Koko. This is a Pokemon I'm going to be looking forward to switching into to take a Z Thunderbolt, for example, if that's something he decides to do. And the Pain Split is obviously to keep him healthy. And Will-O-Wisp, I mean, Will-O-Wisp is great to get off of and stuff like, the Mega Aggron, the Rhyperior if he brings that for rocks instead. Even the Hawlucha, I mean, I would probably just Volt Switch on it if it just came in on Rotom Mow, but I mean, like, if he tries to bring Hawlucha in, at some point in a desperate attempt to set up, I have this Will-O-Wisp here. I unfortunately can't Will-O-Wisp the Araquanid, but obviously I Volt Switch on it. I'm going to outspeed that all the time. Speaking of those speed EVs, that speed stat is to outspeed Hoopa. That's the only notable thing that I can really outspeed. That's the fastest notable thing that I can outspeed. So yeah, I can get the Volt Switch off on that. I can, get myself into something else, just in case he brings that Hoopa. For my next Pokemon, I decided I was going to bring Sebasaur. This was for two main reasons. I wanted something to, fill out this Volt Turn core with Rotom Mow. So I have the Volt Switch and the U-Turn, and I get a slower option in terms of U-turning out, whereas Rotom Mow is kind of my faster option. So, you know, if I let the opponent move first, I can take the hit because I'm bulky Scizor, and then I can, you know, get into something that is appropriate for the situation. The other reason is obviously defog. Scizor is here to defog for Volcarona to make sure that the path towards a Volcarona sweep is very nice, clean, and open. Scizor doesn't get too bothered by switching into rocks over and over again, fortunately, especially because I gave him the leftovers, and he's just running, you know, a very typical bulky spread. It's pretty basic, and there's not much more to say about it. So, my next Pokemon, now I know I have, you know, 3 leftovers going on here. My next Pokemon breaks that cycle up a little bit, because I've got Garchomp, and this is where my Z Crystal went. I realized, you know, that Garchomp could do a lot of damage as a second backup sweeper with that Swords Dance, and with the Dragonium Z, I can get a big hit off on something, because, I mean, he really doesn't have much to switch in to take that. Everything he could switch in and take that, such as the Mega Aggron or the Tapu Koko, I just hit with Earthquake anyways. I don't think he's going to play around with trying to switch with those two at all. I also need to shout out Stromful because he helped me in building this team for this specific week, and he was the one that recommended I move the Z Crystal over. I definitely think overall it was a good decision. I just have, you know, Earthquake Dragon Claw. It really hits everything I already needed to hit. The EVs allow me to outspeed a offensive, max speed, timid Mew, which I don't think he'll bring. I think he'll bring a more defensive Mew, but the goal of this Garchomp is basically to, you know, just outright kill a offensive Mew because I'll be able to outspeed it, especially at +2. I'll definitely be able to knock it out. The problem with a bulky Mew, a bulky defensive Mew, which I think is exactly what he's going to bring, I need the Dragonium Z to kill it at +2, and even then, I normally need some prior damage, or I need him to be not completely fully invested to get the 100% KO. So that's something I have to keep in mind. Chipping down Mew is definitely going to be important in this game, especially because I expect it to come, and I definitely expect it to be some type of bulky set, definitely bulky support. It might even be as a defogger, considering he has, you know, a solid rock option in either Aggron or Rhyperior. I think he has to bring one or the other. I doubt he'll be rock and defog Mew, so I definitely expect rock on something and then defog on Mew, because he doesn't want to put it on something like Tapu Koko because he wants to focus on damage output. Moving on, we actually have one of my staple Pokemon on here. We've got Miltank. I love this thing so much. I draft it all the time. So it offers some really unique team support that you can probably see right here in the fact that it gets thick fat. So I am automatically protecting Scizor and Garchomp both from their 4x weaknesses with this Pokemon. Miltank is who I'm relying on for rocks this week. I don't think Stealth Rocks are kind of a game-winning or game-losing matter in terms of me getting them up. I definitely need to keep them off of my side because I need to protect Volcarona. But in terms of me getting rocks up, it's just kind of something where if I can get them up, I get them up. I don't really need them unless I'm trying to, you know, break Focus Ashes, or if I'm trying to chip down, especially that Incineroar, Araquanid, and Kyurem. Those 3 are the ones that would especially get chipped down. So if those 3 come, or, you know, however many of those 3 come, the more likely I'm going to be trying to get up those Stealth Rocks. Just to, you know, aid in the sweeping process, obviously. And like I said, chipping that Mew down will definitely be important. Other than that, I mean, I think this Miltank kind of speaks for itself in terms of what I'm trying to do with it. The max special defense is to just minimize Tapu Koko damage, because I'm actually predicting him to be a special Tapu Koko instead of physical. He definitely could be mixed, but I'm definitely leaning more towards the idea that he is special. The Heal Bell, just in case, since, you know, he does have some Pokemon that can spread some status around. I'm mainly thinking like the Aggron and the Licky Licky. I mean, even the Mew, honestly, the Mew is a huge status spreader if he decides to put Will-O-Wisp or Toxic on it, including situations where, you know, say I Will-O-Wisp with my Rotom and Synchronize activates. So Heal Bell's really nice in that regard. I can clear up some status on my team. And Seismic Toss hits everything since it doesn't have a Ghost. It's just a reliable, you know, chip damage type attack. It'll actually allow me, you know, to do really decent damage on that Mega Aggron that normally I wouldn't be able to touch at all. It would just shrug off hits. and it doesn't really have a reliable way of recovering unless he runs a rest set, but I don't know. I don't really see that happening considering he has that electric terrain. It would actually be a really bad decision in my opinion. So yeah, that's how Miltank goes. And last but not least, my final Pokemon is right here, which is Mimikyu. So Mimikyu had to come this week because, like I said, as I was looking at my team, I was like, wow, I lose to Hawlucha really badly. And Mimikyu is kind of my attempt to patch that hole in terms of the weakness I have. Normally, in a situation where I had such a flying weak problem, I would probably handle it with a different Pokemon besides Mimikyu. But Mimikyu helps in this case because of the fact that Hawlucha is also a fighting type. It'll be harder for him to just easily click High Jump Kick with this thing still around. But the idea is that hopefully this Mimikyu will be able to stop Hawlucha before it even gets started. There's many ways it can do that. So if he is Mold Breaker, that's kind of going to be scary. But he won't have the defense raise from Electric Seed. So that means that Play Rough should normally kill him 100% of the time, unless he has some weird HP or defense investment. The Play Rough will definitely be clutch in that case. He won't be able to kill me through Disguise and without boosting, so that one turn he would have to take to boost, I would be able to hit him with Play Rough. The Shadow Sneak is kind of, just for emergency cases. If that Hawlucha for some reason doesn't come, it's good chip damage on the Tapu Koko, who I would never outspeed in any situation. It also gets chip damage up on the Mew, it's just kind of like a, hey, here's some priority, just because I really don't know what else to put on this Mimikyu. The Will-O-Wisp is, kind of strange, but I decided to put it on because, say he brings in Hawlucha, and he realizes, like, oh crap, Mimikyu, he could easily switch out into, something like Aggron, which will be more than happy to take anything Mimikyu could ever have to offer, ever. So Will-O-Wisp is nice because I can get some burns off on, defensive switch-ins. I will probably be trying to use Mimikyu as my most expendable member if Hawlucha doesn't come, so that's also why I had the Destiny Bond. I really don't plan on clicking Destiny Bond in any other situation, namely because, it's harder to play around with Destiny Bond since you can't click it more than once in a row anymore. So I don't want to be in a situation with Hawlucha where I click Destiny Bond and he just gets another Swords Dance out of it. It's really pointless. So I'm definitely just going to be trying to go for the Play Rough. If he's Electric Seed, it's going to suck, but hopefully with Stealth Rocks up, Play Rough into Shadow Sneak should kill. If I get the rolls right. It's really hilarious how many leftovers I have. Like, leftovers, Dragonium Z, leftovers. But I mean, that's just how it's going to be this week, honestly. I don't need a ton of damage output. I can kind of just rely on taking these hits, recovering off the damage, and, biding my time until I can get my sweepers going, basically. Garchomp or Volcarona, maybe a little bit of both. I don't really know. I guess we're going to have to jump into that battle to see what happened. So here we are over in the battle, and we finally get to see the team that Captain Sebasaur decided to bring. I got most of them right. In retrospect, the Kyurem probably wasn't super likely, but in team building, I decided I wanted to be very prepared for it. The Licky Licky makes a lot of sense, actually, to keep the team healthy, with witches and stuff. So I can definitely see why he decided to bring that. Considering Mew, can do the whole heal bell thing, but it can't really actually bring the other Pokemon on the team back up to health. So I definitely see where Licky Licky made sense for him to bring. In terms of what I'm trying to think, though, for my lead when I see this team, there's a lot going through my mind. Obviously, the Tapu Koko is something I have to consider. Tapu Koko can Volt Switch on a lot of my Pokemon very easily, and he can get a lot of momentum turn 1 by doing that. And it's a really, kind of no drawback thing for him to do, unless I was in Garchomp, but then even still, he outspeeds and he can go for Dazzling Gleam or Hidden Power Ice or whatever. So there's a lot of risk involved there. He can also go into that Mega Aggron or the Mew to set up Stealth Rocks. Both things I'm considering. I'm also considering how if his Mew is full support, but he has some speed in it, he could try and taunt me to prevent me from getting my own rocks. These are all things running through my head. But basically, I am going to decide here to try and lead off Miltank to get the rocks up early. I know my Miltank is very defensive, and the only thing that really threatens it is the Hawlucha, and I'm confident that's the one thing he's not going to lead with. So, I know Miltank can take pretty much any hit from Coco barring a Z move, but if he decides to lead Coco, we can kind of just handle the situation from there. So, starting off, I'm going to lead my Miltank, as he's actually going to lead off with Mew. And like I said, I'm just immediately going to go and set up my Stealth Rocks, as he is actually going to go into Aggron, and I'm immediately thinking, okay, he's going to try and get up his rocks. I'm going to go right here into Rotom-Mow in case he does try, and go for an attack here, but this is mainly just for me to try and burn him, but he decides to go into Licky Licky here instead. So I get the burn off on Licky Licky. This will eventually tell me if he has Heal Bell or not, but for now, I'm just going to try and Volt Switch. And this allows me to gauge the damage and figure out that he's actually probably a pretty specially defensive Licky Licky. So that's good for me to know. And I accidentally read that Toxic somehow. I was more, thinking some type of normal attack and I would just resist it. But anyways, that's fine. I avoid a Toxic. Here I'm just going to defog while I can because Licky Licky doesn't really threaten me. And I'm just going to get the U-turn and pretty much just go right back into Rotom because this Aggron really shouldn't be able to touch this Rotom at all. And I'm again going to get another Volt Switch. Since he didn't bring that Rhyperior, I'm basically going to be able to click Volt Switch every single time. And the power of this U-turn and Volt Switch core that I have going on is really being showcased here because I can just keep, bringing in Scizor like every other turn to defog, and keep the momentum going. But here I'm just going to decide to U-turn to figure out how much physical defense he might have. It seems like he's just HP special defense. That's what I can tell so far. And he reveals the Protect here, as I try to Leaf Storm in case he doesn't have the Protect, or in case if he tried to pass the Wish. So now I know he has Protect. I pretty much expected it once I saw the Wish. I pretty much expected it from Team Preview. Anyways, I'm just going to Volt Switch back out, go back into Scizor. It's a rinse repeat. I know this Licky Licky probably can't threaten me as he goes for the Seismic Toss, and that confirms it. This is the only thing he can really damage me with, and now his full moveset is revealed. So I am just going to safely go for the defog here, remove the hazards, as he brings in a Araquanid. So this kind of changes things up a little bit. I'm just going to U-turn, and I get a decent chunk off there, and go into Rotom, predicting the Liquidation. And then again, to showcase this Volt Turn core, I'm just going to Volt Switch right back, predicting the Leech Life, and go into Scizor. And so I will now be able to resist this. And I won't be able to kill him with another U-turn, unfortunately. But I am just going to go for the Roost, because if he did try to over-predict me and go for the Leech Life on the Rotom, I would have recovered a lot of health there. But in the end, I just get my Scizor more healthy, and I go right back into Miltank, and we're basically going to trade rocks again. Battle hasn't really gone anywhere at this point, but I'm kind of just playing this game pretty patiently, because I'm not really taking a ton of damage here. There's not much for me to really lose. He keeps having to wish up, and try and reassess the situation. Again, I'm just going to U-turn. I go right back, actually into Miltank this time. And this is just because I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to keep like showing the Rotom and Scizor and just be completely predictable until he can eventually bring in something that threatens one of them on a predicted switch. So I'm just kind of moving them all around right now. I decided right here that I actually just want to defog, just so I can keep the field clear for Volcarona. As he's actually going to bring in the Tapu Koko. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I decided to Roost there instead. And now I'm going to go out into Rotom-Mow to try and take some type of attack. But this turn right here shows to me that he has choice specs. I expected a Z move or Hidden Power Fire to try and kill a Scizor. And what I end up seeing right here is that he is indeed Specs based off of the damage that Dazzling Gleam does. I just narrowly survive with a Rotom, and this is kind of an oh crap moment for me. Because obviously Specs Coco is a huge threat. In a way, it's a bit of a relief, because now I know that, you know, he can't go for a Z move to kind of, you know, just invalidate the bulk of my team and just punch right through it. But my best switch into Coco just took a ton of damage from Coco. So it's a really bad situation. And I was thinking about it though, and I realized that Rotom outspeeds, you know, a decent amount of things on this team. Mew if it's defensive, the Licky Licky obviously, the Araquanid obviously, and the Aggron obviously. So I definitely don't want to lose Rotom yet. So I obviously am going to switch out into Scizor to take the next Dazzling Gleam, and I had the intention of bringing Rotom back in later to get some health going. So now with the knowledge that he is Specs, he is actually going to predict me, you know, to go into Scizor as well, I think, and go into Mew. And this kind of tells me that his Mew might be defensive, and he might be trying to plan a Will-O-Wisp here. So I'm actually going to go straight ahead of the Miltank, just to see what he's going to try and do in general. You know, if he was offensive and he's set up, or if he just tried to straight up attack, Miltank would probably take any hit. But he does go for the Will-O-Wisp, as I expected, and obviously I will just be able to Heal Bell this off. But I'm going to Milk Drink first, just because I don't want to reveal it right away. And he just goes straight into Aggron here. The cool part is that I will be able to Seismic toss him, but he actually just goes for the Roar. So I'm glad I got the Heal Bell off. That Seismic toss will have to wait. But for now, while Scizor's in here, I might as well defog. This Aggron hasn't shown that it can threaten me yet, so why not? But it does get the Thunder Wave off. I don't know exactly why he did that, because, I mean, it's not like he can really hit the Scizor anyways, as he, you know, goes for Heavy Slam and it does 15%, and I have leftovers, but it's fine. I'll just be able to get rid of that paralysis later with Miltank. But now I get the safe U-turn into Rotom, and this is my opportunity to Pain Split. He goes right into Licky Licky, and this gives me a nice amount of health back, so now I can take on Coco again if needed, which is definitely much appreciated. I'm going to Volt Switch though, so I keep this health up, and this time I'm going to go right into Garchomp, because I'm kind of tired now at this point of doing the same song and dance. Even though it was kind of keeping me, you know, keeping me going, I can't risk another situation where he brings in Coco and disrupts that flow of Scizor and Rotom Mel. I just can't, I can't play around the prediction of what he's going to lock himself into with Specs without risking one of my Pokemon. So I'd rather just not do that. I'd rather just go into something that he can't switch Coco into. And this also allows me to start getting set up, because overall, Garchomp is more threatening actually than Volcarona. Volcarona was originally supposed to be a lot more threatening to him, but because I haven't, you know, I don't know, because I haven't really gotten a good enough grasp on his team in terms of chipping it down, I don't feel confident in going for the Quiver Dance with Volcarona yet, especially because that Hawlucha is still in the back, and he can outspeed me if I'm just at +1. So in this situation, I feel fine with going into Garchomp, and I'm just going to click Swords Dance. As he goes for the Wish, I expected him to Protect, but he actually just goes right into Mew, which means that Wish doesn't actually really go anywhere because I didn't damage Mew. And here, I go for the Dragon Claw, the Z Dragon Claw, and I do a huge amount of damage, but he's going to burn me. It doesn't matter though, I'm just going to click Earthquake this next turn, in case he tries to switch for some reason. I know he wouldn't switch into Hawlucha, but I'm just going to be able to draw First Blood and finally take out that Mew. And obviously this burn isn't too big of a deal because I can Heal Bell it off later, which I'm thinking of doing right now here by going into Miltank, but he actually predicts me to switch out pretty nicely and goes for Volt Switch and brings in this Hawlucha. And all of a sudden I realize, wow, life comes at you fast, because now I'm in a really bad situation. I didn't expect him to go for the Volt Switch. I expected a Thunderbolt, if anything. And I was just thinking about trying to Heal Bell up that Garchomp of mine and that Scizor of mine, and I wasn't thinking about how bad of a situation it could put me in if Hawlucha came in, especially if he went for Volt Switch and then went right into Hawlucha, because that gives him his Electric Seed. So this is bad. This is really bad. But he's not set up yet. So at the very least, it gives me a chance to go into Mimikyu, because I know he will be Swords Dancing. And since I know now that he's not Mold Breaker, I will at least be able to shrug off one attack with the Disguise. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch immediately into Scribbles, the Mimikyu, as he sets up a Swords Dance. And I'm going to go for the Player Up, and this actually does a lot less than I want it to, which is a huge issue. 65% is not what I expected, and it's looking like not even Shadow Sneak is going to be able to kill him, barring a crit or something. So this is really bad. This tells me he probably has some HP or defense. At the time, I really wasn't able to wrap my head around it. I thought I just must have done something wrong. But looking back on it, that's definitely what happened. He had some defense investment or some HP investment. So in this case, I'm running through my head like, wow, I'm gonna struggle to stop this Hawlucha really badly now, because Acrobatics and High Jump Kick looks really scary against my team, especially with Mimikyu's neck slumped over like that. This is really bad. So I'm just gonna go for the Shadow Sneak here to try and get off some chip damage. Still not doing enough, and he is just going to slay Mimikyu, so he evens the score here. Now, I thought about this for a long time, and I decided to go into Scizor. Scizor is my other Pokemon with priority. He's my only other Pokemon that could ever outspeed Hawlucha, and unfortunately, since Mimikyu wasn't able to put Hawlucha into Rough Skin range, I couldn't go into Garchomp yet. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to sack Garchomp and then win the game with a Volcarona sweep. Since that's not the situation we're in, I decided to go into Scizor. On the damage calcs, it shows me that Scizor would do a minimum of 21% if he was just max attack and max speed. At the time, that's all I thought he really could be. I didn't consider anything else. So in my head, this is a guaranteed kill. After the fact, I learned it was more of like a 50-50. But it's more than just a 50-50, because I need Bullet Punch to land. I'm paralyzed. And I knew it in my gut that I was not going to get this Bullet Punch off. And I don't, which is awful. But he misses High Jump Kick. So there is justice in the world, and I feel great about that. Because the roll was definitely in my favor, even with the defense that he did have. So, for all fairness, I should have been able to get the Bullet Punch off, without RNG being an issue, and get the kill. I played the situation the best I could. I know it really sucks for him, because he easily could have won the game. I mean, there's other things I could have done. Like I said, Rough Skin from Garchomp is a thing. I could have tried to bait High Jump Kicks. Flame Body is a thing I could try to get to activate. Like, for example, I could go into Miltank, bait the High Jump Kick, go into Volcarona, live the High Jump Kick pretty easily, activate Flame Body, etc. So there's things in my mind that I was prepared to do in case if Scizor did get paralyzed, which he did. But fortunately, the situation evened itself out. It was kind of tit for tat, and he ends up dropping to his own High Jump Kick. I mean, like I said, it's definitely unfortunate for him. I could understand if he was frustrated about it, but I mean, in terms of me trying to win this game, it definitely felt like some justice. So from here, he has a lot to think about, obviously, but he decides to go into Licky Licky. I'm assuming just to wish up, as he does, and I'm just going to get the U-turn off. Not enough, for Burn to kill him, unfortunately, but I do feel pretty safe to go into my Miltank here. And I'm finally going to try and get that Heal Bell, because I know he's going to protect here to make sure he gets all wished up. It doesn't mean Licky Licky is obviously back to a sizable amount of health, but I'm not too concerned about that, considering I still have sweepers. I still have sweeping options. He's going to go back out into Koko, this giant threat, as I try and get rocks back up, mainly trying to chip down that Araquanid. Just because why not? And here I'm going to obviously go into Rotom to try and take a attack, and this time he goes for Hidden Power. I know that obviously this is Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Fire, But I'm definitely expecting this to be hidden power fire, of course, because of Scizor. Um, because he doesn't need hidden power ice to kill Garchomp if he has Dazzling Gleam, which he already revealed. And it would make more sense for him to have hidden power fire to kill Scizor, just because, Bullet Punch is a huge threat to it. He could predict that pretty easily. So I guess he just imagined me staying in. I guess he imagined me going for Dazzling Gleam, or I guess he imagined me going into Scizor, predicting his Dazzling Gleam, but Rotom was going to be my switch in to this no matter what move he went for. But this does reveal, obviously, that it is a super effective hidden power. The cool thing is, Miltank is thick fat and will be able to take either hidden power, no matter what, because, whether it's ice or fire, it's probably fire. The thick fat will give it that resistance, and I'm just going to go right back into Miltank, and this hidden power, Choice Mix hidden power, does a whole 9%. That's ridiculous. So he obviously needs to switch out here, and I'm actually just going to click, Seismic Toss to get off damage, because, Kogo can't really threaten me, and I can hit something when it switches in. And I'm just, chunking down this Aggron. He's going to get rocks up again, but it doesn't really matter a ton. It matters for Volcarona, but at this point, I'm just threatening to kill him with Miltank. So down goes Aggron. Here he makes a very questionable play by going into a Araquanid, who I definitely outspeed. And I just kill this thing too with Seismic Toss. So all of a sudden, this situation is great for me. I'm now up 5-2, and the Koko's really the only big threat, but I have a lot of things left for it. He's coming in here, obviously. I know he's going to lock himself into something, and that Miltank can live any hit, so I'm going to Milk Drink to scout what it is. And now I know that it's Thunderbolt. I can play around this accordingly. I knew he would probably just go to Licky Licky to reset the field, so I actually went into Garchomp to be more threatening as opposed to Rotom. And here I'm just going to click Earthquake, just in case, he tried to pull doubles, predicting my Swords Dance, for example, which I almost did, but Earthquake just made a lot more sense. And he's just going to Toxic me, which, he doesn't have enough turns to stall me out with Toxic, so I don't know if I agree with that, but Seismic Toss wouldn't have been much better either. And here, the game is pretty much over. I just decided to sack Rotom because it's the most, it's the lowest health Pokemon, it's the most sackable, and now I have a Pokemon left for any move he would lock himself into. He locked himself in a Dazzling Gleam, and this is basically just going to be Bullet Punch, and a GG to Captain Sebasaur. So I managed to win this week 4-0 for my team. It was a little bit slow going in the beginning, I can admit. I'm actually roosting here. I forgot it actually. I wanted to be very careful about any kind of crits for some reason. There we go. The game's finally over. But yeah, I was trying, really hard for my team. I managed to get the 4-0. Like I said, a lot of team building help went into this, and this was the first battle that my team had to do, so it put us in a 4-0 lead, but unfortunately my other two teammates lost their battles, so our collective team together is 1-2 on the week, which means we lost our week 1, but this is a personal victory for me, which feels pretty good. I always love to win week 1. This makes me feel confident going forward in terms of getting more wins for my team. And I'm hoping that, obviously my teammates are going to reassess and they're going to figure out what they need to do to win their games. I'll be there to help them. I was there to help them last week. And, hopefully we'll get the ball rolling and we'll get them to win some games too. Definitely a GG to Captain Sebasaur. The high jump kick miss sucks. But, it is just Pokemon. That's what I would have said if, I just got paralyzed and he got the high jump kick off and swept my whole team. And, the ref skin wasn't enough and he never got flame bodied, all sorts of stuff. At the end of the day, you just have to play the numbers. And it turned out that the numbers wanted to frown on both of us that turn. I got paralyzed and he missed high jump kick. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I will be trying to upload more videos now, which just feels so cool to say. Tell your friends, Tangle of Boots is back. Expect more videos on the channel, and check out the Owl channel, like I said, in the description below. I will probably appear on there at some point. There's lots of really cool, talented people that will be uploading to it. This league is just filled with a lot of really cool people, and I'm excited to see, you know, the kind of things they pull off, the kind of battles I'll be able to upload for this league. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna head out. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.